The Wells Report returns in 30 seconds. North to south, coast to coast, around the world, this is the Wells Report. On this broadcast, we report the news honestly and fairly. We analyze the news for fact and bias. We point out both. We de-propagandize the mainstream media. We do make commentary. Commentary is not news. Commentary is opinion, both yours and mine. And so we debate. News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. In my life, there have been four monumental presidential addresses. President Kennedy in 1962 regarding the Cuban Missile Crisis. President Johnson in 1968 when he said that he was going to step away from the Democrat nomination for president in that year. When President Nixon resigned from office, and then yesterday, when the President of the United States, Joe Biden, sat in the Oval Office and walked away from his reelection campaign. As you know, here on the Wells Report, we listen to presidents. We play what they say, and we're going to do so right this minute from the Oval Office yesterday.
Hello, Americans. I'm speaking to you tonight from behind the resolute desk in the Oval Office. In this sacred space, I'm surrounded by portraits of extraordinary American presidents. Thomas Jefferson wrote the immortal words that guide this nation. George Washington, who showed us presidents are not kings. Abraham Lincoln, who implored us to reject malice. Franklin Roosevelt, who inspired us to reject fear. I revere this office, but I love my country more. It's been the honor of my life to serve as your president. But in the defense of democracy, which is at stake, I think is more important than any title. I draw strength and I find joy in working for the American people. But this sacred task of perfecting our union is not about me. It's about you, your families, your futures. It's about we, the people. We can never forget that. And I never have. I've made it clear that I believe America is at an inflection point. One of those rare moments in history when the decisions we make now will determine our fate of our nation and the world for decades to come. America's going to have to choose between moving forward or backward, between hope and hate, between unity and division. We have to decide, do we still believe in honesty, decency, respect, freedom, justice, and democracy? In this moment, we can see those we disagree with not as enemies, but as fellow Americans. Can we do that? Does character in public life still matter? I believe I know the answer to these questions because I know you, the American people. And I know this. We are a great nation because we are good people. When you elected me to this office, I promised to always level with you, to tell you the truth. And the truth, the sacred cause of this country is larger than any one of us. And those of us who cherish that cause, cherish it so much. A cause of American democracy itself must unite to protect it. You know, in recent weeks, it's become clear to me that I need to unite my party in this critical endeavor. I believe my record as president, my leadership in the world, my vision for America's future, all merited a second term. But nothing can come in the way of saving our democracy. That includes personal ambition. So I've decided the best way forward is to pass the torch to a new generation. It's the best way to unite our nation. You know, there is a time and a place for long years of experience in public life. There's also a time and a place for new voices, fresh voices, yes, younger voices. And that time and place is now. Over the next 6 months, I'll be focused on doing my job as president. That means I'll continue to lower costs for hardworking families, grow our economy. I'll keep defending our personal freedoms and our civil rights, from the right to vote to the right to choose. I'll keep calling out hate and extremism. Make it clear there is no place in America for political violence or any violence ever, period. I'm going to keep speaking out to protect our kids from gun violence, our planet from climate crisis is the existential threat. And I will keep fighting for my cancer moonshot so we can end cancer as we know it, because we can do it. I'm going to call for Supreme Court reform because this is critical to our democracy, Supreme Court reform. You know, I will keep working to ensure America remains strong, secure, and the leader of the free world. I'm the first president in this century to report to the American people that the United States is not at war anywhere in the world. We'll keep rallying a coalition of proud nations to stop Putin from taking over Ukraine, doing more damage. We'll keep NATO stronger, and I'll make it more powerful and more united than any time in all of our history. I'll keep doing the same for our allies in the Pacific. You know, when I came to office, the conventional wisdom was that China would inevitably surpass the United States. That's not the case anymore. And I'm going to keep working to end the war in Gaza, bring home all the hostages, and bring peace and security to the Middle East and end this war. We're also working around the clock to bring home Americans being unjustly detained all around the world. You know, we've come so far since my inauguration. On that day, I told you, as I stood in that winter, we stood in a winter of peril and a winter of possibilities. Peril and possibilities. We were in the grip of the worst pandemic in the century, the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression, the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. We came together as Americans. We got through it. We emerged stronger, more prosperous, and more secure. Today, we have the strongest economy in the world, creating nearly 16 million new jobs, a record. Wages are up. Inflation continues to come down. The racial wealth gap is the lowest it's been in 20 years. We're literally rebuilding our entire nation, urban, suburban, rural, and tribal communities. Manufacturing has come back to America. We're leading the world again in chips and science and innovation. We finally beat Big Pharma after all these years to lower the cost of prescription drugs for seniors. And I'm going to keep fighting to make sure we lower the cost for everyone, not just seniors. More people have health care today in America than ever before. And I signed one of the most significant laws helping millions of veterans and their families who are exposed to toxic materials. You know, most significant climate law ever in the history of the world. The first major gun safety law in 30 years. Today, the violent crime rate is at a 50-year low. We're also securing our border. Border crossings are lower today than when the previous administration left office. I've kept my commitment to appoint the first Black woman to the Supreme Court of the United States of America. I also kept my commitment to have an administration that looks like America and be a president for all Americans. That's what I've done. I ran for president 4 years ago because I believed and still do that the soul of America was at stake. The very nature of who we are was at stake. And that's still the case. America's an idea. An idea stronger than any army, bigger than any ocean, more powerful than any dictator or tyrant. It's the most powerful idea in the history of the world. That idea is that we hold these truths to be self-evident. We're all created equal, endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights. life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. We've never fully lived up to it, to this sacred idea, but we've never walked away from it either. And I do not believe the American people will walk away from it now. In just a few months, the American people will choose the course of America's future. I made my choice. I've made my views known. I'd like to thank our great Vice President Kamala Harris. She's experienced, she's tough, she's capable. She's been an incredible partner to me and a leader for our country. Now the choice is up to you, the American people. When you make that choice, remember the words of Benjamin Franklin hanging on my wall here in the Oval Office, alongside the busts of Dr. King and Rosa Parks and Cesar Chavez. When Ben Franklin was asked, as he emerged from the convention going on, whether the founders have given America a monarchy or republic, Franklin's response was, a republic, if you can keep it. A republic, if you can keep it. Whether we keep our republic is now in your hands. My fellow Americans, it's been the privilege of my life to serve this nation for over 50 years. Nowhere else on earth could a kid with a stutter from modest beginnings in Scranton, Pennsylvania, Claymont, Delaware, one day sit behind the resolute desk in the Oval Office as President of the United States. But here I am. That's what's so special about America. We're a nation of promise and possibilities, of dreamers and doers, of ordinary Americans doing extraordinary things. I've given my heart and my soul to our nation, like so many others. I've been blessed a million times in return with the love and support of the American people. I hope you have some idea how grateful I am to all of you. The great thing about America is here, kings and dictators do not rule, the people do. History is in your hands. The power is in your hands. The idea of America lies in your hands. You just have to keep faith, keep the faith. And remember who we are. We're the United States of America. And there's simply nothing beyond our capacity when we do it together. So let's act together, preserve our democracy. God bless you all. May God protect our troops.
The President of the United States yesterday from the Oval Room at the White House, where he made final the move from power, placing things in the hands of his vice president. What did you see? What do you think of the speech? 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. There are a lot of people opining this morning, as you might expect. I'd like to hear your opinions of the speech. What do you think about the entire circumstance? What do you see moving forward? This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. Our telephone number 817-379-2172. History turns. A turning point yesterday. The President of the United States stands down. What do you think? 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. The speech was approximately 11 minutes. It was halting. It was strangely dispassionate to me. I don't want to change any of the things that you think about the speech by simply telling you what I thought about it. But I will say this. The President of the United States looked very strange yesterday when he made that speech, and I wonder why. This is the Wells Report, back with more in just a moment.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. From the chat room, I got to take an extra blood pressure pill. Gary says, I didn't have a stroke. He's celebrating that this morning. He also said he's hanging on to the presidency simply to pardon Hunter. I don't know whether it's just going to be Hunter. It may be his entire family. I wonder what he will do. Jesse says, hello, my sweet friends. That speech was robotic. That's a possibility. There are doctors that are opining about the speech. We'll have some of that for you a little bit later on. I think they're putting Kamala Harris out there to hang herself. That way they don't look bad skipping over a DEI appointment. She hasn't received one presidential vote. That is true. Mark Greer, agree completely with your thoughts so far. He seemed distant, no passion, several blatant lies regarding the economy, wages, national and world conditions. I heard nothing of substance as to the reason why he's passing the torch. And Yvonne says, good morning. Good morning, Evie. Fox News offers 5 takeaways. He offers an explanation about deciding to step aside from the race, saying that it's time to pass the torch. The president said that when he was elected to office, he promised to always level with you to tell you the truth. That didn't happen. His physical condition, evident last night in the speech, made that plain. He also talked about reforming the Supreme Court. I'm going to call for the Supreme Court to reform because it's critical to our democracy. Supreme Court reform. He did not elaborate. But remember the difference between democracy and democracy. The Democrat Party, and other parties too. Don't get me wrong, this is not a partisan broadcast. But the American left has used the judicial branch as a way to legislate outside of the legislature. I believe, knowing full well that the reason they do that is because they can't get their agenda through the legislature. He vowed to continue lowering costs for hardworking families, grow the economy, defend personal freedoms and civil rights from the right to vote to the right to choose. He condemned political violence without directly addressing the assassination attempt on former President Trump. This is understandable. This is not a speech for today. It wasn't a speech for last night. This was a speech for the ages. And no, he's not going to bring up the assassination attempt. Biden referenced kings and dictators when reiterating his support for Kamala Harris as the Democrat presidential nominee. I'd like to thank our great Vice President, Kamala Harris. She's experienced, she's tough, she's capable, she's been an incredible partner to me and a leader for our country. Now the choice is up to you, the American people. Make the choice and remember the words of Benjamin Franklin's speech. We've given you a republic if you can keep it. He actually said that twice. And Biden also boasted that he was the first U.S. president of this century without Americans at war anywhere in the world. I will keep working to ensure America remains strong, secure, in the leader of the free world. I'm the first president of this century to report to the American people the United States is not at war anywhere in the world. When he took over, he was. He was at war. And he decided to end it without taking Americans out of Afghanistan, taking the military, leaving the Americans there, and 13 died because of those decisions and the decision-making therein. That is what Fox News says. There are lots of other people. Van Jones weighed in, also Brit Hume from Fox News, and former President Donald Trump also stepped up to say what he thought about the speech. What do you think? 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. There will be interesting things in this campaign season. I was reading an X post that we'll get to a little bit later on in the broadcast that talks about how Kamala Harris decries political violence, and she named the Palestinians who burned an American flag in front of the Capitol building yesterday. And that's going to be a hard sell, in my humble opinion. She did, however, before the second largest teachers union, make some good words. The question is, does she mean them? Does she have the capability to sell them to the American people? All I can think of right now is I'm pretty darn sure that what's going to happen is that we're going to see campaign commercials in this cycle that will make us all wince. Back in a moment.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare.
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare.
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. John David Wells at your service. Today is Thursday, July 25th, the year of our Lord, 2024. The reactions to the speech last night are obviously on the minds of American media. Van Jones had this to say regarding the speech last night.
Yeah, it's the question, does character still matter? Well, it does tonight. It does tonight. The kid with the stutter did good. He did good. That's a good man. He fell on the sword. He fell on the sword. Most heroes, they fight to the bitter end. He fell on this sword. He's an old guy, but the heart's still there. You know, the words aren't as clear, but the love is as clear. The heart is still there. And I think people need to look at this, because you had somebody sitting in that chair and he wouldn't give up power no matter what. Wouldn't give up power, let there be an insurrection, wouldn't get out of that chair. Even when the people voted for you to get out of the chair, he wouldn't get out of the chair. And you got somebody who's sitting in that same chair, showing that character does matter, showing that you can have grace, you can put the people first, you can pass the baton, and you're a bigger person for it. You're going to be more loved for it. So you've got two examples now of what men with power do and how they act at the end. And you couldn't act any better than Joe Biden. That kid with the stutter grew up. He did a great job for this country, and he's doing a great job tonight. And I love that man.
All right, so that's Van Jones from CNN. There are other comments as well. Brit Hume also took to the air and had these words to say regarding the speech last night. And he seemed a little bit, shall we say, fired up when he spoke then. Take a look.
Well, to hear the president tell it, he was fine with running for re-election, thought he could win the race and serve for 4 more years until sometime between Saturday night and Sunday morning when it dawned on him, apparently, that it was time for a new generation of leaders, something that had escaped his notice now, lo these many months and years, and that then he got up on Sunday and decided he would turn everything over to this new generation led by Kamala Harris, whom, as you mentioned, Martha, he extolled as being a great partner to him. There was enough mention of democracy and the sacredness of it to suggest that there was more than a little political motivation in his speech, since democracy and the salvation of it has been such a theme of his and Kamala Harris's election program. But it was quite a conversion overnight, it seems, if you believe it. I'm not sure I do.
The plain-speaking Brit Hume, as always, telling us exactly what he thinks. President Trump also weighed in on Fox and Friends this morning. Here's what he had to say about the speech. And again, he spared no expense
talk about
on
that
it.
speech last night. Do you think we learned why Joe Biden decided not to run against you?
Well, I think it was a coup. They didn't want him running. He was way down in the polls, and they thought he was going to lose. They went to him and they said, "You can't win the race," which I think is true, unless I did something very foolish, which I wasn't going to do. And I think he was so far down, and they said, "You're not going to win, and you're not in great shape, and you did poorly in the debate." I think the debate started everything. It really started the fall if he didn't have the debate. And remember, they challenged me. I didn't challenge them. They said, let's have a debate. They gave me everything I didn't want, from Jake Tapper to everybody else in CNN. And, I said, I'll take it, because I was surprised that he was willing to debate. So we debated. It didn't turn out well, but it really began from the debate. And the ratings, his approval numbers went very bad. And I was beating him by a lot. And all of a sudden, you could see what was happening. They were trying to do a coup. And I have it from very good information. I know a lot of people on the other side, too, that they went and they forced him out, between Pelosi and Obama and some others that you see on television. It was interesting. I'd watch them on television and they act so nice. Oh, yes, we love Joe. We love Joe. Behind the scenes, I know for a fact they were brutal.
Yeah, and I have no doubt about the fact that was true. The party bosses got together and said, "Goodbye, Joe." And he played along and did his party job. And so that's where that's a snapshot of what people are saying in the mainstream media. There are variations on all of that. The doctors, however, took a look after President Biden's address to the nation. This from Fox News. Multiple doctors shared their opinions about his perceived health status based on his live speech. Seated in the Oval Office, the president spoke relatively briefly about his withdrawal from the 2024 race and his commitment to continue to serve the country for the next few months. He did not mention his recent COVID-19 infection, ongoing concerns about his cognitive health, or the recent assassination attempt on the life of former President Donald Trump. Now, keep something in mind. This was a speech for the ages. This was not a speech for today or even yesterday. This was something that we'll be referring back to for many, many years. Dr. Mark Siegel, clinical professor of medicine at NYU Langone Medical Center and a Fox News medical contributor who has never treated the president. Keep in mind, none of these guys have ever actually examined the president. Noted that Biden seemed to be reading from a teleprompter. He was. You could see it in the reflection of the window behind him in the Oval Office. He stammered. He had some difficulty reading. It made it difficult for those watching to gauge his mental fitness. Although Biden stumbled over a few words a few times, Siegel was more concerned about the president and his apparent lack of emotion. It's a very emotional time for him, and he isn't showing it, the doctor told Fox News Digital after the speech. He seems to lack conviction. Siegel expressed concern that Biden could be depressed and shocked by the current reality. I feel compassion for him, said Dr. Siegel. How can he quote from the Declaration of Independence without much conviction? I feel bad for him and for us. Dr. Robert Lufkin, a California-based physician and medical school professor at UCLA and USC, weighed in on Biden. Lufkin noted that he has never, again, examined Biden, but offered his observations. In previous appearances, Biden has shown signs of cognitive deterioration, the doctor told Fox News. The findings in his previous presentations could have a wide variety of causes, including sleep deprivation, sedation, metabolic abnormalities, or even neurodegenerative disease. Tonight's short presentation appeared to be read from a teleprompter. It was, which is less demanding than the more spontaneous Q&A format of some of his previous events. In previous appearances, such as the June 27th debate, Biden showed confused rambling, sudden loss of train of thought in the middle of a sentence, halting speech, and the repeated use of the word anyway when he got lost in a sentence. Tonight, we do not see those in his presentation. His delivery was fairly uniform, without interruptions. I saw something much different than that, but then again, he's the doctor. The format is less challenging, likely to uncover pathology than a more rigorous Q&A exchange or debate format. Dr. Ernest Lee Murray, a board-certified neurologist at Jackson Madison County General Hospital in Jackson, Tennessee, said the speech from the Oval Office was clearly better for Biden than the debate, but he noted the president struggled at times when reading from the teleprompter. Reading simple By the way, this doctor has also not examined Biden. Reading simple passages do become difficult in patients with dementia, he told Fox News Digital, expressing a professional opinion in general about such cases. Patients with a dementing process have significant difficulties with multitasking. President Biden seemed more rested and relaxed tonight. I suspect the stress of trying to run for office and be president was leading to even worse daily cognitive performance. In response to an earlier outreach by Fox News, the White House press office said that health was not a factor in the president's decision to withdraw from the 2024 race. He looks forward to finishing his term and delivering more historic results for the American people, according to the White House in its statement. That is plainly false. This is obviously a health issue. It is certainly the majority of the reason why he decided to indeed back off. And there can't be much argument about that. The president is in bad shape, and you could see it, and you have been able to see it for years. And I want to come back to the thing that he said right at the beginning of the speech. I always promised to level with you. That didn't happen. Now, it would be very difficult for anyone to admit that their cognitive decline is indeed in place and perhaps even accelerating. It would be difficult for him to do that. But there are those who say that the cover-up of Joe Biden's problems, and there certainly were coordinated efforts to keep him from looking old, fragile, frail, and mentally deficient. Those are plainly obvious to anyone. But nobody talked about it. Indeed, simply lied to the American people time and time again about the president's cognitive performance. And that has been called the biggest cover-up in American political history. And I think that what you need to keep in mind is that it was broad-based. All of the things that we have talked about on this broadcast regarding what I called an unholy alliance between the Democrat Party and the American media have come to the fore in the last 3.5 years. President Biden has been covered up for, as opposed to being covered. Can you imagine what would have happened? Can you imagine what would have happened if indeed a Republican president was having this level of mental difficulty? Can you imagine what the press would be saying? Heck, they've said it now. Every time President Trump bumbles something or makes a gaffe and so on and so forth, it's not just called a gaffe from, Joe Biden is a gaffe machine. President Trump is a gaffe machine. And he says dumb things. No. They would have excoriated him. And they have. And this level of duality when it comes to reporting of any kind, but certainly in reporting the American president, is something that we have been inundated with. And it's bad. It's absolutely bad. Now, keep something in mind. Keep something in mind. If indeed, when cognitive issues, say, for example, at the debate, when cognitive issues became so apparent, when the strings were cut from the puppet and the puppet clattered to the stage, and that's exactly what happened when President Biden did that debate. Had he been a Republican, had he not been protected by the mainstream media, who was on record as saying, no, this guy runs circles around everybody half his age, and all this stuff, they would have asked him to leave the office that day. But that's not what happened. What ended up happening is that the man fought to live another day, ably assisted by people who flat lied to the American people. Now, I'm in a position here, I was talking about this yesterday. I try to bring the news. I try to bring the news and facts. I do make commentary. But what I also do is I try to practice neutrality every chance I get. Politics for me revolve around America, not Republicans or Democrats or the left or the right or what have you. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to put this in the American context. In the American context, I can understand that there is certain grace given to presidents of the United States, even those struggling. Toward the end of his administration, Ronald Reagan was having trouble. And it was plain for people who had seen him in his decline. As it turns out, after he left office, it was talked about that he did indeed have Alzheimer's, which took his life. But the mean-spiritedness of it was not there. In contrast to the mean-spiritedness of the mainstream media when it comes to President Trump, as they try to cast him as the old bumbling man. And this neutrality of mine is an attempt to make sure that you have all the information you need to make your decision based on what you've seen. Is it true that indeed the mainstream media covered for President Biden instead of covering President Biden? Yes. Is it true that they have lied constantly to the American people about Joe Biden's mentality? Yes. That goes into the halls of government. It goes through the entire organization of the Democrat Party. It goes and belies the actual untruths of the mainstream media. Now, what does that leave us with? Well, when they talk, you sit there and go, I wonder if that's true. I mean, think about that for just a couple of moments. When you deal with other newscasts, after every point made, ask the question, I wonder if that's true. That will bring, I believe, into sharp relief the lack of credibility that is currently saturating the American media. We can't have this. In order to have a free country, we must have a free press. This press isn't free. It's bought and paid for. By whom? For what? Why is it that we do not get factual reporting from our mainstream media? They've abandoned the truth, and they have chosen political sides. And we have 3.5 years of almost daily reminders of that to reflect on as we move forward. And so it is done. The President of the United States has indeed passed the torch, as he said. That, by the way, evoked President Kennedy when President Kennedy said the torch has been passed to a new generation. And I believe that resonance was where the president was trying to go. The more I see President Biden in these days of office, the more I am worried. Do I join the chorus of people to say that the president can't run a presidential campaign, therefore he cannot run the country? No. The grace of the presidency demands that he finish his term. I don't think that rubbing his nose in it is something that we should even aspire to, let alone actually see come to fruition. What do you think? Give us a call.
Acta.
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? low-cost airlines.
With one call to Low Cost Airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
This is the Wells Report. John David Wells thanking you very much for joining us today. There have been some statements that are showing up from the past, and they involve the various political figures that we've been discussing for these last couple of days. One of them comes from J.D. Vance. This was when he was first running. He first announced for the Senate of the United States. And this piece of video, and we're going to see a lot of these as time goes by, are somewhat interesting. As so interesting, in fact, that the Hollywood left is weighing in on something that J.D. Vance said. He said that, J.D. Vance said that politicians who are childless cat ladies were running the nation. And I have the video, courtesy of Tucker Carlson. Tucker had this conversation while he was working for Fox News with J.D. Vance.
Look, what I was basically saying is that we're effectively run in this country via the Democrats, via our corporate oligarchs, by a bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and the choices that they've made. And so they want to make the rest of the country miserable too. And it's just a basic fact. You look at Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, AOC, the entire future of the Democrats is controlled by people without children. And how does it make any sense that we've turned our country over to people who don't really have a direct stake in it? I just wanted to ask that question and propose that maybe if we want a healthy ruling class in this country, we should invest more, we should vote more, we should support more people who actually have kids, because those are the people who ultimately have a more direct stake in the future of this country.
Man, if you had called...
Yeah, that was a statement that may come back to haunt J.D. Vance. On the other hand, he does have a point. And the point is that we have a lot of people that are outside mainstream Americana that are indeed making big decisions for the United States of America. There have been an awful lot of very serious things talking about children from people that don't have them, specifically Kamala Harris, who does not have children. She is someone who has pursued her career as opposed to pursuing a family. Is that a litmus test? J.D. Vance seems to think so. But just exactly where does that currently fall or fall currently in mainstream or quote unquote mainstream thought regarding the place of a woman in American society, especially coming from the left, where the actual definition of a woman seems to escape them these days. On the other hand, Kamala Harris has released her first campaign ad. It's titled "We Choose Freedom." It aired on her social media channels and marks a defining moment for her campaign. It showed up today. In this election, we each face a question: what kind of country do we want to live in? There are some people who think that we should be a country of chaos, of fear, of hate. She says images of Trump and Ohio Senator J.D. Vance appear in the ad, but us, we choose something different. We choose freedom. It must be pointed out on this particular case that the chaos and the fear was external to Donald Trump's presidency. It was external. In other words, it was imposed on the president. It was not something the president caused. What that chaos and fear came from were scurrilous statements made by the left and, oh, by the way, the right. As remember, Donald Trump was fighting both Republicans and Democrats. Scurrilous statements that were not borne out by his presidency or fact, but yet made anyway. And so I would play this ad for you, but I can't. And the reason why I can't is because there is a Beyonce song on it, and I can't play the Beyonce song without running afoul of copyright laws. And I respect the platforms that give us the opportunity to broadcast this, and I'm not going to run afoul of their community standards. It makes sense. It does. It makes sense. I want Beyonce to get paid for her work. I do, even if it's in a political ad. I do. And I am not going to I'm not going to take away her valid copyright in an effort to play politics with it. I'm just going to say, okay, here is the political ad that you can go find. You can find it on the social media of Kamala Harris. And so the Beyonce song Freedom shows various Harris supporters and everyday Americans of all backgrounds as she discusses what freedom will look like under her administration. The message contrasts with that of her Republican opponent, who termed her radical and slammed her on an array of issues as he's tried to gain control of the narrative in the 2024 race after Biden's exit. This, by the way, from USA Today, and indeed shows bias in that paragraph. The freedom not to just get by, but to get ahead. The freedom to be safe from gun violence. The freedom to make decisions about your own body. We choose a future where no child lives in poverty, where we can all afford health care, where no one is above the law. That sounds suspiciously egalitarian. In our lifetimes, we've seen these egalitarian societies. We call them socialists. And so, will this skirting of socialist ideology that we've seen not just from President Biden, not just from President Obama, who started it all, will we see that continue in a Kamala Harris administration? If I had to guess right this moment, just my opinion, I would say absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. 817-379-2172, 817-379-2172. As we go through this, President Trump, as we have shown already, had some statements regarding the speech, and he's also got some statements regarding how he's going to campaign, at least in the early stages, against Kamala Harris. We'll have those for you in our second hour of the Wells Report, which is coming up in just a couple of moments. Our telephone number, 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. This is the Wells Report. Thanks for being a part of the broadcast. And yeah, we're going to spend some time talking about how Trump is going to go after Kamala Harris next on this broadcast. Until then, enjoy these commercials. I'll be back.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
Can your IRA stand up to the next financial crisis that our top economists are saying is at our doorsteps? By allocating a percentage of your IRA into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns by putting your IRA back on the gold standard. Find out how to safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Call now for your free gold and silver report. Protect your IRA today with one simple phone call and learn how to qualify for up to $10,000 in free silver. Call Genesis Gold Group, empowering faith-driven stewardship.
Call 877-655-6870. That's 877-655-6870. 877-655-6870.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
North to south, coast to coast, around the world. This is the Wells Report. Hi, I'm John David Wells. On this broadcast, we report the news honestly and fairly. We analyze the news for fact and bias. We point out both. We de-propagandize the mainstream media. We also make commentary. Commentary is not news. Commentary is opinion. You and me, we have our opinions. Let's compare them. Let's share them. Let's debate. News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. There are some interesting things on the chat room I want to share with you. It should never get to this point again, JD. This from Martha Brothers, who is a registered nurse. Pilots, truckers, surgeons have yearly exams to prevent people from being at risk from plane and semi crashes, surgical malpractice. But the president gets a free pass. An awful state of affairs. There is no doubt about the fact that I'm pretty sure that moving forward, there will be some more comprehensive examinations, certainly with President Trump, if he's reelected, that will become part of the American dialogue. Let's see. Remarkable. Kamala doesn't have any love children given her past. Okay. This brings up something else. Okay. And I talked about this yesterday, so I'm going to do this real briefly here. The past of Americans, when it comes to conjugal activity, is different. It's more different than it's ever been in this entire nation. In the history of this nation, it has never been so out front. The society is over-sexualized. Our entertainment, our discourse, the women's movement, etc., has changed this nation. And Kamala Harris is a part of that change. So are you. So am I. There are many things that, I'll just be honest, in my past that are outside the societal norm. I made my decisions. I review them nearly every day. And I believe, given the same circumstances, I'd make the same decisions. But they are outside the societal norm. I have no doubt that Kamala Harris has also made those decisions. I have no doubt that Donald Trump has made those decisions, especially when he was the Prince of New York City and essentially a raconteur that did whatever he wanted to. The question is, have they grown up? Kamala Harris made her decisions. She does not have children. And I have to be perfectly honest, as a father of 4 fine sons, parenting, being a father, has made the biggest impact on my life of anything, absolutely anything. And I do believe that perspective is necessary. J.D. Vance, on the other hand, talks about cat ladies, and that was when he was running for the Senate. Arthur Davenport points out that Vance is a wacko that changes his stripes as he chases power. And Art has a point, not just on the cat lady comment, but you've got to remember that J.D. Vance called Donald Trump America's Hitler. Like I said, these campaign ads that we're about to see are going to make us all wince. They're going to make us all wince. But let's be careful to evoke the sexual past of our presidential candidates. I mean, it's none of our business. It's a family matter. And those decisions are respectable, if not agreed with. And yeah, there could be some disrespect in some of those things, but the scurrilous things about Kamala Harris and the scurrilous things said by Donald Trump, you'll note, have not been reported much on this broadcast. And the reason is because consenting adults in America in private get to do what they want. anything from that is not the business of the American people. It's the business of family, the families of those people involved. And by the way, I think the very best example of that is how Hillary Clinton dealt with her husband, Bill. That is the model here. Now, remember, Bill Clinton was a Democrat president. He was given grace by the mainstream media, even when he admitted that he had a tryst with, okay, I'll just say it, a cute White House intern who was 20 at the time, I believe, but that is above the age of consent, isn't it? Consenting adults, etc. So the family made their decisions and they have moved forward. I believe that all of us should, and I think that it's ridiculous that we would go down that road, especially after how annoying it was to see the left and the mainstream media go down that road with Donald Trump. It's none of our business. We need to stay that course. Let's see. Arthur goes on to say, and by the way, Arthur is a Democrat. Arthur goes on to say, I think Republicans have chosen the wrong candidate for president, and he has chosen the wrong running mate for vice president. What a mess. And all I can tell you is that mess is bipartisan. Gary Olivier points out, did the Democrats, as the Democrats did by freezing out RFK. RFK, again, had some very serious issues in his past. Can you imagine the campaign commercials that would be run against RFK if indeed he was the Democrat standard bearer? Oh my. I mean, I am literally going, oh my God, what are we going to see? I mean, what are we going to see? Let's see, what else? Kamala called Biden a rapist, I believe, during the 2020 primary. Well, like I said, again, I'm going to make this abundantly clear. Scurrilous accusations. And yes, there have been made by various women, notably costing Donald Trump over $80 million regarding an attack she can't remember. And somehow a New York jury said that he was liable for all that money. Okay, well, there you go. But once again, I'm just not somebody who thinks that this is what we should talk about. And I thought that when Kamala, if this is true, I haven't been able to chase this down, but if Kamala called Biden a rapist, again, that is not for her to make that decision. That's not for her to make that accusation. As a matter of fact, we're going to cover a defamation lawsuit against ABC and George Stephanopoulos by Donald Trump here in just a couple of moments. There is a limit. There is a limit. And I believe that when it comes right down to it, the American people will reject negative campaign ads and negative campaigning against any candidate, regardless of party. We've seen it before. And indeed, that Donald Trump is still a part of this probably is because of that very subject. In other words, the left went after Donald Trump so hard for so long, investigated him so much. They literally have opened every crevice of every closet in Donald Trump's past, thrown it before the American people, and yet he is still standing. This is what happens when you overdo. This is what happens when you overdo. And more about that coming up in just a couple of seconds here. As a matter of fact, let's do it now. President Trump is in a USA Today article, which means it's left bias, says this: I'm not going to be nice as the former president, launches an all-out attack on Kamala Harris. Here's the story. Former President Donald Trump is not calling for national unity anymore, unleashing a volley of attacks yesterday against his new campaign opponent, Vice President Kamala Harris. Quote, if you don't mind, I'm not going to be nice. Is that okay? He told supporters in Charlotte yesterday. In addition to sustained attacks on Harris, Trump's retooled stump speech features residual criticism of Biden, an extended defense of his abortion position, which, by the way, has been roundly misreported by the mainstream media and lied about, indeed, by Kamala Harris. In addition to sustained attacks, he said this. He said, I'm supposed to be nice, referring to his brief call for national unity, but circumstances have changed. Have they, Mr. President? Amar Moussa, spokesperson for the Harris campaign, said that unity is over for Donald Trump, and now he is back with an unhinged, weird, and rambling speech. So that's what's going on. Is the president making a wise move? In the debate on June 27th, the president very skillfully spoke past President Biden and allowed President Biden to essentially hang himself. And he did. I sincerely believe that although Kamala Harris is much more disciplined and much more skilled at delivering her public opinions, that is the tack that I believe that President Trump should take. Negative campaigning, in other words, making your campaign about the person you're running against is a loser. It makes no difference whether it's Kamala Harris attacking President Trump or President Trump attacking Kamala Harris. It makes no difference. What needs to happen is there needs to be a substantive debate about policy from both sides. And I will make this prediction. The candidate that does that the best, that does it first, is going to win this election. Now, you have your hopes and dreams about who's going to win this election. I'm not going to argue against any of those. What I am going to say is this, is that there must be civility. If Donald Trump abandons that civility, if he abandons talking past Kamala Harris and allowing her to do whatever she does, all you got to do, in my humble opinion, is keep Kamala Harris talking. That's all you got to do. The word salads will appear, and the contradictions and hypocrisy will also appear. Unless she's incredibly disciplined. Remember, all Kamala Harris has to do in this particular case is stick to message. Do not laugh. Do not be smug. Don't do it. All you got to do is talk about your platforms, your ideas. Let this election hang on those policy questions instead of descending to personalities on either side. The American people don't deserve that. We've had enough of that. We've had 10 years of it. Well, 9 years. We've had 9 years of that. It has gone mostly in one direction, although President Trump is no slouch in defending himself and taking out other people, as we've seen. I mean, really? Nikki Haley called bird brain? Come on, Mr. President. Come on. What you got to do is you've got to talk to the American people. I'd give the same advice to Kamala Harris. Talk past President Trump. Talk about what you want to do. Talk about your agenda. Again, let the policy questions, let the policy debates drive this election. Let's not let scurrilous stupidity descend on this campaign from either side. I certainly hope that that is the case. So President Trump in his speech yesterday attacked his new opponent on an array of issues for her stints as prosecutor, California Attorney General, U.S. Senator, Vice President. He slammed her on issues such as illegal border crossings and inflation, and termed her a radical on social issues such as abortion and gun rights. And then he descended into, I guess this is barely into personalities. He said that Harris, quote, is the most incompetent and far-left president in history. If I could have said something about his messaging there, I would say leave out incompetent. Just leave it out. Let her competence be self-evident. Trump plans to continue linking Harris to Biden and his policies, argued that both work to cover up the president's physical decline in office. That's going to be a problem for Kamala Harris. During the speech, Trump gave different explanations for Biden's departure. At one point, Trump said Biden quit because he was losing badly. And then he claimed that Democrat bosses forced the decision or had the decision forced on the president. I believe that both can be true, and both probably are. This is the Wells Report. John David Wells, thanking you very much for being a part of this broadcast. The irony of Trump attacking Harris as a prosecutor. He contributed money to her campaign, says Mugwump. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, like I said, these long-time past political decisions are going to come back to haunt both candidates. And I'm not looking forward to the results. This is the Wells Report.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells, talking about the scurrilous accusations of people's pasts. There is a problem for Disney and ABC. Also, George Stephanopoulos. Last March, during This Week with George Stephanopoulos, which is a news show, he had a conversation with Nancy Mace and said, after Nancy Mace discussed being a victim of a rape, how do you square your endorsement of Donald Trump with testimony we just saw? You've endorsed Donald Trump for president. Judges and 2 separate juries have found him liable for rape and for defaming the victim of that rape. He came back to that several times, 10 in fact, and indeed that was enough so that a judge in Miami decided, no, you know what? We're not going to dismiss this lawsuit, which is what ABC had made a motion to do. The lawsuit stems from comments Stephanopoulos made. A jury, this is what the judge said, Cecilia Altanaga of the U.S. District Court in Miami. A jury may, upon viewing the segment, find there was sufficient context, but a reasonable jury could conclude the plaintiff was defamed and, as a result, dismissal is inappropriate. Trump touted the ruling on Truth Social, saying a big win today in high Florida court against ABC Fake News and George, he calls him Slopadopoulos. He's got to stop that, for crying out loud. A powerful case. Before you know it, the fake news media will be forced by the courts to start telling the truth. A great day for America. And so we talked a little bit about what Stephanopoulos said. Now, he has remained, George Stephanopoulos, the ABC News anchor, remained defiant about the lawsuit when he was on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert in May. Trump sued me because I used the word rape, even though a judge said that's in fact what did happen. That is not what happened. The federal jury found Trump liable for sexual abuse, not rape. Judge Lewis Kaplan wrote in a later ruling that just because Carol failed to prove rape within the meaning of the New York penal law does not mean she failed to prove that Mr. Trump raped her, as many people commonly understand the word rape. Before the Wednesday ruling, Trump suggested he was scrapping ABC's scheduled presidential debate he agreed to participate in with President Biden, who dramatically exited the race over the weekend and endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris on Sunday, and floated that Fox News should host the debate instead. My debate with crooked Joe Biden, the worst president in the history of the United States, was slated for broadcast on Fake News ABC, the home of George, Slopadopoulos, sometime in September. Now that Joe has not surprisingly quit the race, I think the debate with whomever the radical left Democrats choose should be held on Fox News rather than the very biased ABC. Thank you, said Trump. There's only one problem with that. Fox News is biased too. This is what happens when you abandon the truth and choose sides if you're the mainstream media. This is what happens. We are, in this nation, now stuck between a vast left-wing media and a not-so-vast but powerful right-wing media. Where do you find the media? Where do you find the free press? You find the free Republican press, you find the free Democrat press. Where's the free press? Self-serving, I know, but you can find it here. Especially now. Especially now. You can count on the Wells Report to bring you fact. You can count on the Wells Report to moderate the scurrilous debate in a way that allows fact to shine through. I'm not choosing sides. I'm not going to choose sides in this. Well, okay, I'm choosing one side in this. I'm choosing the American side. It is my belief that the American people must have fact, especially going into this election. I'm not going to be talking about who I'm supporting for president. I'm going to report the facts. And I'm going to be fair. Does that open me up for, gosh, you know what? You're saying an awful lot of things about President Trump that he's been put upon. He has been put upon. That's the truth. And yeah, I'll report that. But I'll also report the truth that, we need to leave Kamala Harris's sexual past out of this and more. What we need is fact. We need policy. We need civil debate. It can be harsh, but it doesn't have to be uncivil. That's the way I see it. This is the Wells Report.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. Some quick updates on the assassination attempt against former President Donald Trump. Former Representative Mike Robbins, or make that Mike Rogers, he is the Republican from Michigan, told America's Newsroom on Fox News that some kind of radicalization happened involving Trump rally shooter Thomas Matthew Crooks. Quote, they really have to start when that guy graduated from high school. Something happened between then and the day of the shooting, Rogers said about the deceased 20-year-old gunman. It was either self-radicalization or he had some mental distress or external forces. Remember, we still don't know what's going on with those encrypted offshore sites. There are 3 of them. The FBI theoretically is working on it. I have to add the word theoretically because we don't know what the motivation of the FBI is these days. They need to at least eliminate the possibility of someone else helping this guy to get up on that roof and crank off some rounds. From 20 minutes ago, the Secret Service declined law enforcement offers of drones before the Butler rally. This according to a whistleblower. Now, we've talked about whistleblowers. Whistleblowers are either good or bad. We don't know their motivations. They're anonymous, and you need to keep that in mind. Senator Josh Hawley, the Republican from Missouri, has written a letter to Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, citing a whistleblower saying the Secret Service, quote, repeatedly denied offers from a local law enforcement partner to utilize drone technology to secure the rally in Pennsylvania, where the Trump assassination attempt unfolded. This is big. Hawley told Mayorkas that new whistleblower allegations further call into question your department's preparations. I dare say, and this is opinion, I dare say everything that happened on that day calls the Department of Homeland Security's motives into question. Because what I see from this kid is tradecraft. I see tradecraft. Who taught him that tradecraft? Is there some other force out there? I hope not, but I do hope we find out one way or another. According to reports, this from Josh Hawley, the shooter used a drone to survey the site in preparation for his attack. This was confirmed by FBI Director Christopher Wray in fulsome and truthful, as far as we know, testimony yesterday before the House Judiciary Committee. This raises an obvious question. Why wasn't the Secret Service not using its own drones? Quote, according to one whistleblower, the night before the rally, U.S. Secret Service repeatedly denied offers from a local law enforcement partner to utilize drone technology to secure the rally. This means the technology was both available to the United States Secret Service and able to be deployed to secure the site. Secret Service said no. The whistleblower further alleges that after the shooting took place, the Secret Service changed course and asked the local partner to deploy the drone technology to surveil the site in the aftermath of the attack. It's hard to understand why the USSS, Secret Service, would decline the use of drones when they were offered, particularly given the fact that the Secret Service permitted the shooter to overfly the rally area with his own drone mere hours before the event. And also, I've got to point this out. The Secret Service on this, has got some big explaining to do. And it certainly wasn't going to come from former Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle. It certainly isn't. Okay, so that's the latest state of play. Another incredible speech happened yesterday before a joint session of Congress. This from the Prime Minister of Israel. The Prime Minister of Israel was brilliant in his speech, but then again, he is an orator of the highest possible degree. And my computer just crashed. So let me do this while you look at the side of my head. Let me do this. Now you can see the front of my head, sort of, as I lean over here to recycle my computer to bring you this speech. By the way, Bloomberg made it possible for us to have it, and I want to put that out there. We'll get that for you here in just a couple of seconds. But Netanyahu is a great speech maker. He's amazing, in fact, and he had both sides of the aisle, even the Democrat side, standing and cheering as he made the speech. Now, there is something to keep in mind, and that is that there were many Democrats, a lot of them, that refused to witness the speech. That was a gigantic mistake. It was a gigantic mistake. And those seats, by the way, in the chamber were filled with other people. Who? We don't know yet. But this was an excerpted bit of the speech yesterday from Bloomberg. Let's take a look at it this morning on the Wells Report.
We meet today at a crossroads of history. Our world is in upheaval. In the Middle East, Iran's axis of terror confronts America, Israel, and our Arab friends. This is not a clash of civilizations. It's a clash between barbarism and civilization. It's a clash between those who glorify death and those who sanctify life. For the forces of civilization to triumph, America and Israel must stand together. Because when we stand together, something very simple happens. We win, they lose. And my friends, I came to assure you today of one thing. We will win. I thank President Biden for his heartfelt support for Israel. After the savage attack on October 7th, he rightly called Hamas sheer evil. He dispatched 2 aircraft carriers to the Middle East to deter a wider war. And he came to Israel to stand with us during our darkest hour, a visit that will never be forgotten.
That was Benjamin Netanyahu, and yeah, the guy knows how to make a speech, and there's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. It was a brilliant speech, and in the context of world history, that there were people that had an opportunity to see it, and yet chose to not see it. Well, that was, I believe, an unfortunate choice, and I don't know whether it'll come back to haunt anyone, but it is possible that it may. There was also something else that happened. There was a demonstration, a pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas terror demonstration, and there's no other way to put it out there. But it was something that really, really looked ugly. It was in front of the Capitol, and indeed, it was indicative of the kind of people that you're dealing with that are arraying themselves in a bigoted, anti-Jewish fashion right in these United States. People wearing the trappings of Hamas terrorists. And indeed, shall we say, celebrating the fact that indeed this horrible war between Israel and Hamas, started by Hamas, is somehow just in the minds of these amazingly, I don't know, I almost said damaged people. But I think that what they're dealing with is they're only on the periphery. Americans have never had the opportunity to actually live in the world that Israelis and Palestinians do. And yet they take these fake trappings and try to turn them into something that has no intellectual value. It is primitive. It is anti-Jewish bigotry. And also, it's really, really ugly. Look at this. That's a man trying to take the burning American flag away from the Palestinians. Does the radical left really want to buy into this? Do they really want to continue this? I don't think so. And I certainly hope not. This was something that did not escape the attention of Kamala Harris, the current or supposed, I don't mean that in a bad way, but the apparent, let's put it that way, the apparent front runner or the standard bearer for the Democrat Party. This was from X. I replied to this earlier today. From Simon Atiba, who is either in the White House press corps or peripherally in the White House press corps. He found himself on the periphery insofar as, well, he asked one too many difficult questions of KJP, Karine Jean-Pierre. And so he was ousted. But here's what he's reporting today. Vice President Kamala Harris condemns violent protests in Washington, D.C. Quote, any individuals associating with the brutal terrorist organization, Hamas. She wrote yesterday at Union Station in Washington. I'm sorry, I thought it was the Capitol. At Union Station in Washington, we saw despicable acts by unpatriotic, let me get this here, by unpatriotic protesters and dangerous hate-fueled rhetoric. Quote, this is Kamala Harris speaking. I condemn any individuals associating with the brutal terrorist organization Hamas, which has vowed to annihilate the state of Israel and kill Jews. Pro-Hamas graffiti and rhetoric is abhorrent, and we must not tolerate it in our nation. She continued, I condemn the burning of the American flag. The flag is a symbol of our highest ideals of a nation and represents the promise of America. It should never be desecrated in that way. I support the right to peacefully protest, but let's be clear. Anti-Semitism, hate, and violence of any kind have no place in our nation. I wrote on this. Those were good words. Will she be able to sell them? Will she indeed mean them? We don't know. When I was referring to statements, especially statements involving anti-Jewish hatred, there are a lot of those statements that Kamala Harris will see later on in this campaign season. And as you see her move to the center of this, one thing has to be pointed out. She boycotted the speech of Benjamin Netanyahu. She talked to a sorority group instead. It's going to be hard to be able to contrast the words she gave today, which were very good, with the reality of what she said yesterday. We're going to have problems here. She's going to have problems. And I will opine that indeed her statements that are anti-Israel, pro-Hamas, pro-Palestinian are far outweigh what she said today. But then again, she just became the Democrat standard bearer. And yes, in primaries, you run to whatever side of the political spectrum you believe will get the most attention. But when you run for the presidency, you move to the middle. The question is, will she stay there? I don't know. I don't have any idea. But what I do know, to my bones, is that Israel has a right to exist. The Jewish people have been maligned and murdered in the pursuit of their life. And they have been, under this circumstance, unjustly. At the very basic core of humanity, they've been unjustly persecuted. We've watched the Middle East tear each other apart. War, terror, murder, mayhem, rape, and the rest. For decades. We don't want that in this nation. Regardless of your politics, the Jews get to live. They get to have a country. We, the American people, in vast majority, believe in both of those concepts. And those people that, for whatever reason, I suspect it's fashionability more than reality, those people need to reevaluate. One of the problems that's going to happen if indeed Kamala Harris wins this election is what's going to happen with Israel. Her opponent was the prime mover behind the Abraham Accords, which were essentially at least put on hold, if not destroyed, by the Hamas attack against Israel on October 7th. So these dichotomies require your thought, consideration, and determination. What do you believe the truth? What do you believe is the truth? What will guide your vote on this subject? Very interested in hearing what you have to say. 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. The Wells Report in progress for Thursday. Back with more in a moment.
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
This is the Wells Report. The fourth Sunday in July is National Parents' Day. Parenting has been the very center of my life. I've seen my children grow. 4 sons that were babies, then insufferably cute kids, and then athletes, and now adults. It is the center of my life. And it is the center of most people's lives who are blessed with children who either found them or were given them by God or created them based on the most irrational decision by mature adults ever. You cannot rationally decide to bring a baby into the world. You have to rely on faith. But that faith is often rewarded in ways that are often overlooked. I want you to meet Nate. Nate is a kid who was born deaf. He is, as you can see, probably 4, 5, 6 years old, and has embedded in his head cochlear implants, and they allow him to hear. And in this video, you see him hearing his parents' voices for the first time. Check this out.
Can you hear Mum? Nate? Nate, can you see Mum? Hello. Hey.
Goodness sakes.
Hey, buddy. How you going?
Can you hear Mom?
Oh. Oh my goodness.
Is that better, is it? That's so much better?
Isn't that sweet?
What's next, you reckon, mate? Hey, what's next?
Yeah. That's really funny. Yeah, you can hear Mum again?
Wow.
Sarah's turning it up. Yeah.
A parent's gift. And from Australia, I'll wager. And those moments of parenting, those parents obviously did what they had to do to be able to bring their child
Make sure that
a
you come
world,
with a sweater.
excuse me, hold on, a world where he indeed could hear their voices. Not all parenting in these moments are as poignant, but they are all important. And Father's Day and Mother's Day are important bulwarks of the American society. Because all of us made decisions to bring our children along with us. And as I said, that decision is incredibly difficult. It requires more than self. It requires faith, not just in the future, but in a world where these kids can grow up strong and happy, become adults, and repeat the cycle. National Parents' Day is important, just as parents are important. There are those who make other decisions. They are open to criticism, as we've seen by then Senate candidate J.D. Vance, who talks about, hey, wait a minute, the vast majority of Americans do have children. They do have a different perspective. In my case, I very likely would have died in a race car because that was my passion. Until I held Jack, my first son, and realized that my life had changed. I had contemplated it while my first wife was gestating. But holding that kid changed everything. And then Corey, and then Mitchell, and then Colton. There have been disappointments. There have been moments of harsh and real pain given by my children to me. But I'll remember my second son, Corey, who was on the telephone with me and who was weeping. He said, I miss you. I mean, he was an adult. He was in his 30s. And I said, honey, I'm right here. It's not just raising babies. It's seeing them through their lives. And yeah, we're all right here where we should be. So I don't care what you do on Sunday, but connect with your kids. Find out what they're up to. Talk about their victories and their defeats. Offer the hope of the future that you used to bring them into this world in the first place. This has been the Wells Report. If you find value in this broadcast, please do me a favor and subscribe to it. Send it to your friends. Share it. Have them subscribe. Hit the notification button so you know when we're on the air. And yeah, give us those thumbs ups. If you want to support the show financially, go to patreon.com/The Wells Report. Give us a couple of bucks a month. It really comes in handy. It makes this broadcast possible. And we'll have another one tomorrow. Fishing Shirt Friday on the Wells Report. We will see you then. Thanks for being with us. Wow. What a day. What a day. So let's see. Gary says, my parents said I was a happy little accident. No, Gary. You were a gift from God. Don't forget it. Let's see what else. Oh, thanks, Mark. Mark said, good show. Let's see. Joe and Kamala should have given their tickets to Netanyahu's speech to people who wanted to be there. I think they did that. They filled up the chamber. I don't know with who. I'd like to know. I'd like to know that there were Democrats there. I really would. And I think those Democrats that weren't there, well, I think they made a huge, historic mistake. Thank you, Cleo. Great to see you there. Tell Angelo I said hi. God bless both of you. God bless all of you. God bless the United States. And we'll see you again tomorrow. Until then.